All right, people, how we doing? We're going to do session number 2 of this Dry Fire 101, and we might continue this series on a little bit further in the future, but first things first, I need you to get your pistol, okay? Because as I'm talking about this stuff, and depending on your skill level, depending on where you're at in your journey of learning pistol stuff, you might not, some of it might go a little bit over your head if you're not doing it right there with me. If you are doing these things, what we're going to work on today right here with me, none of it will go over your head. You will be learning and figuring out and doing, okay, and here's the thing, and how's it, all right? You will be doing it right there with me, and you will learn so much better. You will retain this information 100 times better if you have this in your hand. And the way I got pretty good pretty quickly is by doing just that. I never watched a pistol video or an AR video or any video about technique or anything without the gun in my hand. That's a little secret for you. You put that pistol, that rifle, that shotgun in your hand and dry practice while watching technique videos, you will get so much more out of it. So much more. It's insane the amount I was able to learn just by actually have something would kind of go over my head and I'd be like, oh, I see what he's doing. Okay. All right. That's simple. All right. You know, it's just so much easier. So much easier. Hands-on learning will always retain more. So put that thing in your hand right now. All right. The first session was talking about the safety routines, how we put in place redundancies so we never have issues. On this one, we're going to talk about going a little bit further into the mechanics of how to shoot, mechanics of how to work this thing rather, and get you to that place where you feel more confident in simply how this thing works, okay? Yes, the gun isn't going off, but we can do a whole lot in dry practice to get confidence up to a high level. So truly, this stuff does work. If you put this thing in your hand, you will get proficient with it. You will get confident with it. When you go out to the range and actually get to put down rounds, you're going to be prime time. All right? So, like I said, the first session was talking a lot about safety, a lot about that routine. So, first thing we do, exercise number 1, we're going to go through exercise number 2, and through exercise number 3, 4, and whatever. So, exercise number 1 is I got to clear and safe this pistol. All right? 1, 2, 3, racking vigorously, racking hard, all right? 1, 2, 3. We are racking that gun, making sure that we are going to extract and inject anything that's in there. Lock that thing back to the rear. We are violent with the tools. These things can take it. I want you to try to rip the slide off the gun. I want you to try to rip the gun in half when you're gripping it. I want you to try to be just brutal to it. You should feel bad for it, okay? So, rack, rack, rack. Lock open, inspect, inspect, inspect. Zero ammunition present in the gun. Unlock it, rack, rack, rack. Unlock it again, looking away while you're doing that, coming back so that your brain can't play any tricks on you. Coming back, inspecting it again. Redundancies, making sure, all right, inspect my magazine. Zero ammunition in this magazine. If there is any ammunition in the vicinity, I get it out. Okay, we put it in another room, we put it in a box, we put it somewhere, and we absolutely clear this room, clear this area of live ammunition. Once we've done that, we are ready to begin. So that is exercise number 1 of every single dry fire session you do for the rest of your life. And how we end exercise number 1 is by saying to ourselves, I'm starting my dry practice now. I've done my exercise number 1 and I'm starting my dry practice, so now I'm good to go. Exercise number 2 that I talked about was simply picking the gun up off the table and building the grip. And when I present this thing out to the target, how does everything feel? What's going on? How does that feel in my hands? Really trying to get in tune. This thing is an extension of our body. We want to really try to get in tune. How does this whole thing feel when I'm gripping this gun perfectly? And I want to grip it the same every single solitary time I pick it up. This is going to lead you to be a very good shooter in the future, very quickly as well. Building a repeatable grip the same way every time is the key to shooting good. We cannot pull the trigger the same way. We cannot control recoil the same way. We cannot do anything the same way if the geometry of our hands is always different. If we are doing shit differently every single time we grab this gun, we're beat. So grip and trigger press is all we're doing, right? That's exercise number 2. Build that perfect grip and bank, okay? Beautiful. Exercise number 3, what is it? Let's go. All right, exercise number 3, we're going to drop the magazine out of the gun. The only thing we need to do now is lay the gun back down the same way we did to pick it up and build grip. And when you pick it up, probably best that you pick it up kind of by the hammer or by the rear sight, kind of with a claw grip, because you can't really dig your hand underneath of it. So I pick the gun up off the table like this because I can't, if the table's here, I can't really dig my hand underneath. So I pick it up like this. This is going to help you in more ways than one down the road. But get used to picking your gun up like this. And then as you put your other hand on, you're grinding that thumb down around in a high place. You're situating and then putting the grip on. That'll help you out down the road. Trust me. Okay? So, same thing. Now we have magazine on the table, pistol on the table. I'm going to pick them both up. Same time. Pick them up, put them in front of us, above our nipples. So everything that I want to do with this pistol, all the work that I want to do with it, needs to be above the nipples. So I pick it up, drive the magazine in. I don't need to smack it. I don't need to do anything crazy. All I need to do is put the bullets in first, grab the magazine up off the table where the bullets would be pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay? Now remember, if you have your pistol in your hand, none of this is going to go over your head, because you're going to be able to tell exactly what I'm talking about. Just pause it, think about it. Bullets facing up towards the ceiling, so you can take your index finger and grab that magazine off the table with your index finger right here like this. Okay? This is going to help you out down the road as well. So all these little things are reps that you are going to realize are really helping you way down the road. So we grab that thing, present it to the gun with our index finger, pretty much just pointing it right into the hole. All right? All we do, open up your palm and drive that magazine into the gun. One firm drive in there, no big deal. We don't have to freaking slam it in there like crazy. We don't have to bash the shit out of it. All we have to do is present it to the gun, drive it in there nice and firmly. It's going to work. It's going to be beautiful, okay? And then from there, I want you to come up over the top and rack the gun. All right. Now, this is something that you can do in several different ways. You can rack it by kind of a slingshot, more of a pinching method back here. You can rack it over the top, or more advanced way to do it down the road is to rack it by grabbing the front, in front of the injection port, like so. Okay. Basically, I recommend for most beginners to start off with this method right here. That's a nice big movement. Grab it with as much hand as you possibly can and rack it. Okay, and when you rack it, push the gun away and rip the slide off the gun. Remember, we want to be violent. So I'm going to present this magazine to it with my pointer finger. I'm going to seat it with my palm. I'm going to roll up over and I'm going to rip that slide off the gun. I want you to try to rip it off the gun. And then I'm going to bring my hand back around, present it to the target, and then I'm going to simulate some trigger presses. Now, since there's no ammunition and an empty magazine, your gun is going to lock back, okay? Again, if you have your gun in your hand and you're following right along with me, this will not be unfamiliar to you. You will figure all this out. This starts to really tell you how your gun works and how things work. Your magazine goes up and it's spring-loaded. It pushes this little lever up on the side, holds the gun open, okay? So whack, and you rip it back and let go of it. We do not rip it back and ride it home, okay? I want you to try to rip this off. I want you to try to rip this piece off the gun. Whack all the way back until your hand hits your shoulder even. And then go up on it and present it to the target just like you did in the second exercise. So then you're here and simulate a couple trigger presses. Now you won't have a real trigger even with a Glock. So with a Glock, I'm going to, or a striker fire pistol of whatever kind, I'm going to seat, rip, it's going to lock open, I'm going to press, and it'll have a kind of a goofy trigger, and just break that. And then just tap against the trigger like you would be doing, okay? That's all you got to do right there. Just tap against it. Simulate about 5 shots, okay? So, again, I'll show you with the Glock here. Set it back down. Bullets facing the ceiling. I'm going to claw grip it, pick it up, bring it up above my nipples, insert, rack the gun super hard, chase it out, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, once the drill's over, just simply grab the slide and hit the slide release lever. Okay? This will teach you how the slide release lever works and everything else. So many, many, many reps for a new gun owner in this little drill. So grab the slide just like you were going to rip it back. Pull it back and push this little lever down. And what that'll do is send the slide home. But it's better for you to kind of learn how the gun works by holding on to it and letting it forward so that you know you're in control, okay? That little lever is what lets that go forward, but you're in control of it, all right? So that's exercise number 3, and that one teaches you a ton, all right? Insert, rack, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exercise number 4. This one is going to be basically all trigger press and grip. So what we're going to do, same thing, put the pistol down. We have to teach ourselves to build that grip the same way every time, which all of these exercises are doing. So we pick that pistol up. We're going to build that perfect grip again. And then this time, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 perfect trigger presses. Now with a double action gun, 5 double action trigger presses, that'll be fine. With a single action gun, what I want you to do is 1, rack it, and when you rack a striker fire gun, when you rack it to reset your trigger, so your trigger goes like this and then it's dead, it's done, right? So to reset it, all you have to do is just rack the gun back a little bit. You don't even have to go all the way, but let's say halfway, 3/4 of the way, you just kind of rack it back. You can lock it all the way open and then hit your slide release and let it go forward. Get more practice and more used to hitting that slide release and that whole function of the gun. But basically what I want you to do is go from here, from a high compress ready. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfection. Okay, perfect trigger presses. The first one, pick it up off the table, build that perfect grip, and click. The second ones, and 1 through 5 or whatever, or 2 through 5, you can come back to your chest and just kind of. All right, so that's the 4th exercise. 5 perfect trigger pulls. Perfect trigger pulls. The number 5 exercise, what I want you to do is get 2 targets. Pretty simple exercise here as well. 2 targets, and what I want you to do is instead of when the double action gun, you can just pull the trigger, right? You can just whack, 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 whack. Okay. On the single or the striker fired pistol, what I want you to do is simply break the trigger. All right, so we break that trigger, and then I just want you to whack against it, okay? So just put, let's say that's 5 pounds to break that trigger. I want you to go 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. You know, putting 5 pounds of pressure against that trigger and just act like the trigger's still there. And what we're going to do is I want you to pick the gun up fairly aggressively now. So now we're just slightly starting to turn on the juice a little bit. I want you to put your hands like this. I want you to start to get a little bit more aggressive in your posture and start to feel like, okay, I've built grip now for 20 minutes. I know how to build that grip. I know how to go. So this next exercise is to rip on it a little bit, to start pushing you just a little bit so you fumble a little bit or mess up, okay? So we want to put them hands flat on the table. I want you to pick 2 targets, right? Now, I really highly suggest that that people make some little targets like this. And then you can stick one there and stick one there. So I got a couple up here. Basically just want them a little bit far apart. And I wanted you to get used to pushing that gun around and reacquiring your sights. So putting sights on this target, then putting sights on that target. So we pick that thing up, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just pushing that gun over really hard, and I want you to simulate 2 trigger presses, simulate 2 trigger presses. Maybe we'll do 3, okay? So I'll go, okay, I'm just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm just saying it in my head. If you guys want to, you can download this app. I'll show you the exact app. It's called Innovative Applications, and it's a free shot timer. Okay? If you just go to the App Store or whatever, it's free shot timer. Very simple stuff. Download that, and then you can set some little part times for yourself. As you get more confident with all this stuff, let's see how quick you can do it. Let's mess around and let's try to race a little bit. Like the table start drills, I'll race those all the time. So we'll do exercise number 3 with a 2-second par time. All right, we'll see how fun this can get. Okay, so it makes it more fun. When we get a little bit better and get a little bit more confident, it makes it more fun to put that timer on ourselves and mess with ourselves a little bit, try to make some mistakes. All right, so to recap, exercise number 1 is going to be our safety routine. Okay, getting this thing all ready to go and saying to ourselves, getting the room cleared of ammunition and saying, I'm beginning dry practice. That's exercise number 1. That exercise we do every single day. Number 2, building that perfect grip, setting that gun down in your hand, really feeling what it's supposed to feel like, torquing, trying to rip that gun apart and setting it out there and feeling exactly what that feels like. And then prepping and pressing off a perfect shot. That's exercise number 2. Exercise number 3 is the table start, where we're picking up the gun and the magazine, driving it in, racking the gun, and then driving out to the target with a simulated trigger press or a simulated couple trigger presses, whatever you want to do. Okay, and you can add a little variation to all these. Number 4 is going to be the 5 perfect shots. So we're going to build that grip. We're going to build our perfect grip. We're going to come up, 1, rack the gun, set the trigger, come back to this position, and then building that grip again, prepping and pressing a perfect shot. Building that grip, prepping and pressing a perfect shot. 5 times, 5 perfect trigger presses, and I mean perfect. Okay? Number 5, for the most part, we're just going to pick up that gun, build that grip, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 shots or 5 shots on each target or 2 shots on each target with a simulated trigger press. Break the trigger and then just keep touching it. Keep hitting it. Break the trigger, touch, 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 touch. Okay? Prepping, working that trigger, feeling what that trigger feels like. All this stuff is about getting tuned in. All of it is about getting really tuned in with this thing and making it an extension of your body.